So let's start today's session. In today's session, we are going to focus upon linear regression. In fact, we have started discussing regression in the last week. So let's have a quick recap about the contents those we have discussed, and then we'll continue our discussion today. So we have seen the concept of regression and we have categorized the regression models. And we have seen that regression models can be categorized as the simple regression and multiple regression. So in simple regression, we are having only one independent feature. Whereas in multiple regression, we are having more than one features. In both the categories, we may further classify the algorithm or regression models as linear and non-linear. And under linear category, we have started discussing linear regression, right? So let us see once again what we mean by linear regression. So we have gone through the simple block diagram depicting the process of linear regression, or rather the process of regression. So we have the training set. We are having some learning algorithm. Learning algorithm is learning from this training set and coming up with the hypothesis, right? So if this hypothesis happens to be a linear equation or a linear function for a continuous response variable y, and that is based upon one or more input variables x, then we say that it is linear regression. So linear regression is one of the simplest and most commonly used data analysis and predictive modeling technique, right? And the linear regression aims to find an equation or a linear equation for a continuous response variable which is known as y, and which will be the function of the given input variables x. X, if it is one variable or one feature, then we say that it is simple linear regression. If my input x is a feature vector having more than one features, then we say that it is multiple linear regression. Okay, so we have also gone through few independent variable, the dependent variable, and we have tried to demonstrate it with simple example. So we are having the data points, right? In this particular case, we are having only one independent variable, and the predicted value or the variable that we would like to predict is the dependent variable, and that is denoted as y. So if in this simple case, if I am having a single feature or a single variable which is independent variable and one dependent variable, I can come up with one line that fits my data. And this is nothing but the linear regression. Okay, we have also seen that if we would like to depict a line, how it can be depicted by making use of a simple mathematical expression. So the hypothesis or the expression for this line can be written as h theta x equal to theta 0 plus theta 1 x, where this x is my input, theta 0, theta 1 are my parameters, and h is nothing but the hypothesis. This h theta x is actually my y, that is the dependent variable that I am going to predict. So this expression that is written in terms of theta can also be represented as a form of simple line y equal to mx plus c. So we have seen that this theta 0, or in this expression this is c, denotes the intercept of the line, whereas this m and theta 1 denotes the slope, right? And we have mentioned that h theta x is the criterion variable, x is the predictor variable, theta i's are the parameters. So theta 0 here is the constant and theta 1 is the regression coefficient. So these are few important terminologies related to regression. Okay. Now, we have gone through simple examples also how we can draw these hypotheses. I am not going into the details once again. We had a discussion in the last session. Okay. So, what ultimately we would like to do in linear regression? So, given the data, given the training samples, we need to come up with the hypothesis of the form h theta x equal to theta 0 plus theta 1 x. So ultimately what we need to do is we need to choose appropriate these parameters theta 0 and theta 1. So we would like to choose the parameters theta 0, theta 1 such that my hypothesis h theta x is very close to y, given the training examples of the form x comma y. So what is y here? Y is the known value, right? Y is the known value, known output in my training data set. So what I need is, I need to come up with a regression line, right? Such that this line is very close. This h theta x is very close to given y, right? So in the other way, we may say that the linear regression line is the least squares regression line. Least squares regression line. So what does this mean? See here, we are having these samples. Green points are my training samples, right? And if I come up with such kind of a hypothesis, then this hypothesis is actually being used to predict the output of future data, right? And as we mentioned, what we need to do is, for this line, we need to find out the appropriate parameters theta 0 and theta 1. So whenever we are saying appropriate parameters theta 0 and theta 1, what we are expecting is, we are expecting that our line is the least squares regression line, which is unique line, such that the sum of squared vertical distances between the data point and the hypothesis is the smallest possible. What does this mean? See, if I have come up with this particular hypothesis, then obviously if I look at this hypothesis, then this hypothesis is not actually passing through all my data samples, all my data points. Obviously not. It may happen that the few of the data points lie on my hypothesis and few of the data points are near to my hypothesis, but may not be exactly on the line, right? So we would like to come up with such kind of a least squares regression line such that this vertical distance, or if I compute the sum of square distance of each point with the hypothesis, this should provide me the smallest value. So I want to have this minimum. Sum of squared vertical distance must be minimum. So obviously, in other terms, what we can say, whatever are these vertical lines, those we have depicted over here, these are actually providing me the errors, right? So if I look at this particular data point, then my actual value of y is different, and if I use this hypothesis, the predicted y value using this hypothesis is different. So this vertical distance actually is giving me the error in prediction. So what we are going to do is we are going to compute all those vertical distances, all those errors, right, with respect to my data points in my training data set. And based on that, we are going to compute the error for this hypothesis. Okay, now it may happen that this is not the only hypothesis, and I may come up with different kinds of hypotheses. I may have a line like this, I may have a line like this. So whatever kind of line I may have. So in my hypothesis space, I am having various hypotheses giving me such kinds of linear equations. So I need to pick a line, I need to pick a hypothesis for which the error is minimum. So now let us see how to compute this error mathematically. Okay, so let us assume, so we are having here some terminology, and throughout this course we are going to make use of this terminology. So please try to understand what terminology we are making use of while defining the expression. If I say this capital X is my training data set, okay, in this training data set I am having one data sample, I am having another data sample, and so on. So the first data sample that I am having is denoted. Data sample means a data point. So if this is a point, so all those points, green points, are my data points, and these green data points are included in my training data X, right? All these green points are included in my training data X. So I am having my training data set X, wherein I am having many different samples. Now in our scenario, every sample is being described by making use of only one feature. Right? In our example, every data sample is described by making use of only one sample. Please note, remember that right now for simplicity, because we are talking about simple linear regression. Okay, so I am having, say for example, m number of samples in my data set X. So I am having n number of points, data points. So n denotes the number of samples, the number of examples in my data set, right? And this X denotes my data set. So X is having various data points. So individual data point is denoted as X superscript I. So X1 is my first data sample, X superscript 2. So superscript is mentioned in the parenthesis. So that is my second data point. X superscript 3 would be my third data point. So how many data points I am having? I will be having m data points. So X superscript m is the last data point that I am having in my data set. Right? Now, associated with every data point, I am having a label. So, if this X superscript 1 is my first data sample in my training data set, associated with this data sample X1, I will be having the value output, and that is denoted as Y superscript 1. So X1 with Y1, X2 with the associated output, actual output Y superscript 2. So for every sample in my training data set X, I am having associated with the output Y. And to denote my input and output, I am making use of some terminology. And what is that terminology? X superscript 1 denotes one first sample in my training data set, and associated with it Y superscript 1 is the output value. So here in this particular example, if I consider this data point, then I may say that this is X1, right? So that is the first data point, and associated with this data point, I am having the output Y1. Correct? And now we are making use of a regression line with some values of theta 0 and theta 1. Right? So for given sample xi, actual output is yi, and using the regression line with some parameters theta 0 and theta 1, I am computing the output as my x theta xi. So it is nothing but theta 0 plus theta 1 xi. So for my ith sample, my output would be theta 0 plus theta 1 xi. So this is my predicted output. What is my actual output? My actual output is yi for the given sample xi. Are you getting me? If you have any doubts, please let me know. Then we will continue, because this terminology is really very important. Yes.
Can you
repeat, ma'am?
Yes, yes. May I repeat?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. See, what we are having training data set. In my training data set, we are having n number of samples. So this small m denotes the number of samples. Say for example, in this particular example, what we have, this individual data point denotes one student or the data related to one student. So what is the study time of the student, and accordingly what is the grade of the student. Correct? So this every green point is one data sample that is representing the data related with one student. Is that correct? So how many number of students data I am having? M number of students. Data related to M number of students I am having. Okay. So what is small m? Small m is the number of samples. Those I am having in my data set. Okay. Further, what next? Now every student is described with some features. Right? So here we are saying that every student is described with only one feature, and that is study time. Correct? So associated with actually this every student, we are having some input x. Okay? And also associated with every student, I am having some output y, actual output y. So if this is my first student, if this is my second student, if this is my third student, then how I am going to denote the data related to all those students? I am going to represent my entire data set as this capital X. And this individual sample in my data set is represented as X superscript I. So I stands for the number of that particular student. So for the first student, I am representing the data, input data for this first student as X superscript 1. If this is my second student, how I'm going to represent the input data for that second student? I'll be representing that data as x superscript 2. This is my third student. So the input data for this third student, I'm representing it as x superscript 3 and so on. So in general, we are saying that if I'm having ith sample, I'll be representing the input associated with that ith sample as x superscript I. So x superscript I denotes the input associated with ith sample. Okay. Now, in my training data set, associated with every input, I am having output also that is known. So the actual output associated with this ith sample is denoted as y superscript I. Okay, so what I am having is, if I am having m number of samples, I will be having x1 y1, x2 y2, x3 y3 up to xm ym data samples available with me. So x superscript I denotes the input and y superscript I denotes the associated output, actual output. And now what we would like to do is, we would like to come up with the predicted output. So how I am going to predict the output? I know the actual output and now I want to predict the output based on some hypothesis. So I am having the expression for hypothesis, that is h theta x equal to theta 0 plus theta 1 x. Right? So for ith sample, my x gets substituted by this x superscript I. Okay, so if I substitute this x with my actual data xi for ith sample, then obviously what I'll be getting after computing this expression, I'll be getting theta 0 plus theta 1 xi. So this is nothing but my predicted output. So this is my predicted yi. Predicted yi. And I know the actual yi. Got it? Any doubt? Yes? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
May I proceed now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now with these basic terminologies, we are going to proceed with the error. How we are going to compute the error now. So for this data point, we would like to compute the error as I mentioned earlier. So if this is my x1, that means the first data point, then how I'm going to measure the error here? I'm going to find out this vertical distance, right? So I know this, that is yi, actual yi, and using the hypothesis, I'll be making use of this expression and I'll be computing the predicted yi. Okay, so this vertical distance is nothing but actually my predicted yi minus actual yi. Right? Simply I'm computing the difference in two yi's. One is the actual and other is the predicted. So predicted is by making use of this hypothesis and actual yi is given. Okay? So error for ith sample is given as predicted yi minus actual yi. So what is predicted yi? How to compute this predicted yi? We have mentioned here. So predicted yi is nothing but this hypothesis h theta xi. So predicted yi is computed as theta 0 plus theta 1 xi, and we know actual yi. Correct? So predicted yi is nothing but this theta 0 plus theta 1 xi, right? And actual yi that we know. So obviously this theta 0 plus theta 1 xi is my hypothesis computed for ith sample xi. So my error for xi is nothing but h theta xi minus yi. Right? H theta xi minus yi. Got it? Yes, any doubt? Please let me know. This is our actual error for ith sample. Actual error for ith sample. Have you understood? Or may I repeat? Yes. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Fine. So we are able to now compute the error for individual ith sample, and this is given as h theta xi minus yi. Okay. Now let us proceed with our error function. So this error function actually we have seen earlier also in unit number 1, but let us once again discuss this. So if we are able to compute the individual errors for every sample, then to compute the error we are making use of some expression known as sum of squared error. And how we are going to denote this sum of squared error? See here, how many samples we are having? M samples, right? So we are having summation over I equal to 1 to m. So for every sample, whatever is the error, we are going to find out that error. Okay, so how we are going to find out the error? We have defined the formula for that. So h theta xi minus yi is giving me the error with respect to ith sample, right? So I am computing sum of squared error. So this is my error. So I will be computing the square of that error for every sample. How many samples? M samples. So I am having here the squared error for every sample, and I'll be having the summation of these squared errors for m number of samples. Okay, and what we want is we want to find out the mean error. Mean error. Mean means average. Okay, so if I want to compute the mean error, what I need is whatever is this summation, I need to divide it by m. I need to divide it by m. So in fact, we may write it like 1 divided by m summation over I equal to 1 to m h theta xi minus yi bracket square. But here we are having one more multiplier, that is half. Right? So instead of having 1 divided by m, we are writing here 1 divided by 2m. Right? In fact, we wanted to have a mean, but what we have done is we have computed half of that mean. And simply the reason is why we have added this multiplier half here. Simply for the sake of mathematical convenience. And what that mathematical convenience is, we are going to discuss it later whenever we come up with some mathematical treatment with this expression. But please remember that there is no harm in having the mean or half of mean. Mean error or half of mean, right? There is no much harm in having half of mean to represent the error, right? And why we have used this half? Just for the sake of mathematical convenience. And what mathematical convenience I am talking about, we are going to look at it a bit later whenever we go for optimization, right? But now just remember how we have defined this error function, right? So we are having now this sum of squared error, and how we are denoting this sum of squared error for all m number of samples, 1 divided by 2m summation I equal to 1 to m h theta xi minus yi bracket square. And this sum of squared error is denoted as j of theta 0 theta 1. So whatever this function j theta 0 theta 1, so j is the function of parameters theta 0 theta 1. Our hypothesis is described in terms of theta 0 and theta 1. These are the parameters. So this entire function or sum of squared error is denoted as the function of theta 0 theta 1, and it is denoted as j of theta 0 theta 1. And this j of theta 0 theta 1 is known as the objective function or cost function. Objective function or cost function. Okay. Here, as I stated, m is number of data points, or it denotes the size of training data set. And what we would like to do is, we would like to find thetas such that error is minimum. We want to find thetas such that the error is minimum, right? So we would like to find out the parameters theta 0 and theta 1. Those are actually minimizing our objective function j. So this j is our objective function, and we would like to find out the values of thetas such that this objective function is minimum, right? And this goal to find out the parameters thetas such that it will give me the minimum objective function. This concept is nothing but learning, right? So ultimately what we are going to do is, I'm just summarizing once again, right? We are having the data points. We have come up with the hypothesis. Whenever we come up with the hypothesis, we are going to find out the sum of squared error for the given hypothesis, right? So if I'm having many such hypotheses, for every hypothesis I'll be computing this sum of squared error, right? And whichever hypothesis is giving me the minimum error, that hypothesis is my regression line. So how we are going to do that? We are coming up with this objective function, generic objective function or the cost function. So what we are going to do is, we are going to find out the thetas, right, such that this cost of the function or this objective function gets minimized, right? And this entire process, how we are going to do that, is called as learning, right? So we want to come up with optimal theta 0 theta 1 in our case, right? So we would like to find out the optimal values of the parameter thetas by making use of this objective function. So ultimately now our problem is reduced to optimization problem. So we are going to optimize this function j of theta 0, theta 1 so that j becomes minimum. And for whichever values of theta 0, theta 1, we get the minimum value of j. These values of theta 0 and theta 1 are our final parameters of the hypothesis. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now let's proceed with the summary of the expressions those we have seen so far. So our hypothesis is given as h theta x equal to theta 0 plus theta 1 x. So our hypothesis right now is having two parameters, theta 0 and theta 1. Okay. And the cost function that we have defined is of the form j of theta 0, theta 1 equal to 1 divided by 2m summation I equal to 1 over I equal to 1 to m h theta xi minus yi bracket square. So this is my sum of squared error that is defined as our cost function j theta 0, theta 1. So my cost function is a function of the parameters theta 0, theta 1 and my hypothesis is the function of input x. Right? And what is our goal? Our goal is to minimize the cost function j theta 0, theta 1 such that it will give me the optimized values of theta 0, theta 1. Got it? Yes? So I hope you have understood all those expressions and what we are supposed to do. So our ultimate goal is how to minimize this cost function to come up with the theta 0 and theta 1 parameters. Correct? Any doubts so far? Yes?
No, ma'am.
So may I proceed now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now let's proceed with a simplified illustration so that we can have a good intuition or good idea of whatever we are going to do. Right? So what our hypothesis is? Our hypothesis is h theta x given as theta 0 plus theta 1 x. Right? So we are having here a simplified illustration with theta 0 equal to 0. So we are going to make this theta 0 fixed and that is 0. Okay, so this is our hypothesis. We are putting theta 0 equal to 0. So we come up with the hypothesis h theta x equal to theta 1 x. So by making this theta 0 equal to 0, what we are trying to do? This actually represents if this is a linear equation of a line and if I have the intercept equal to 0, this indicates that I am going to consider only the lines those pass through the origin. Correct? Na? I am going to find out only the hypothesis those are passing through the origin. Is that correct? Are you getting me?
Yes, ma'am.
Because my intercept I am making it as 0. Okay. So I am talking about now the hypothesis h theta x equal to theta 1 x by making theta 0 equal to 0. Right. So how my cost function will look like? As I am not having theta 0, now my cost function would be the function of theta 1 only. So my cost function j is of theta 1 because I am not making use of theta 0. So how to represent this now? In the similar way. So how I am going to represent j of theta 1 equal to 1 divided by 2m summation over I equal to 1 to small m. Small m is number of samples that I am having. H theta xi minus yi bracket square. Right? Now, what is my h theta xi? H theta xi is theta 1 xi. Right? So just I am substituting this h theta xi with my theta 1 xi. So I'll come up with my cost function as 1 divided by 2m summation over I equal to 1 to m theta 1 xi minus yi square. Is that correct? Yes, any doubts so far? Got it? What we would like to do is, in this case, we would like to minimize this j of theta 1 because this is now my objective function. So after minimizing this j of theta 1, I'll be coming up with the optimal value of theta 1. Theta 0 right now is 0, right? So I'm optimizing this function for theta 1. Okay? So just to give you the intuition of how to understand this cost function, I'm having one simple illustration. Let us go through this illustration and then we'll conclude the session. Really very important for understanding. Please understand. Okay? If you have any doubts, please raise your question. So, I'm having theta 0 right now equal to 0. Okay? So, my hypothesis is h theta x equal to theta 1 x. Okay? Now, having some x values and associated output y. Okay, so right now we are assuming that every input, every sample is described with only one feature. Say for example, x would be size of house and y would be the associated price. Of house, y would be associated price. So similar kind of problem we are handling right now. Okay, now let us assume that we are having 3 training samples in our data set. Okay. So how many data samples in our data set? 3 data samples. Those are denoted here as 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. So my m equal to 3. 3 data samples we have. Correct? So for the first data sample, I am having x value equal to 1 and the y value is 1. For the second data sample, I am having x value equal to 2, y equal to 2. For third data sample, I am having x equal to 3 and y equal to 3. So only 3 points, 3 data samples we are having, for example. Now, what we are going to do is, we want to pick the value of theta 1, right? So, let us assume that we are having our theta 1 value equal to 1. What we have? Let us assume that our theta 1 value is 1. So, if I am having theta 1 value equal to 1, then this theta 1 becomes 1, right? I am having known values of x. So if for every sample, if I substitute the x value over here, it is possible for me to compute my prediction yi, h theta xi for every sample. Okay, so my theta 1 is my theta 1 is 1, and if I compute h theta x1, I am computing h theta x1 for first sample. What is my first sample value x1? It is 1. So how I am computing x theta x1? Theta 1 is 1 into x1. So what is x1? It is 1. So 1 into 1. So output, predicted output is, so this is my y1 which is predicted. Okay. So actual y1 is also 1, and now by making use of theta 1 equal to 1, I am predicting y1 as 1. Similarly, for all these remaining two samples, if I substitute the values of x in this particular expression, I'll be getting the predicted y1, y2, y3. So my predicted y1, y2, y3 are same, 1, 2 and 3. So I'll come up with this hypothesis. So this hypothesis is actually meant for theta 1 equal to 1. So this hypothesis is actually h theta x equal to x. H theta x equal to x. Theta 1 is 1. Is that correct? So if I come up with this hypothesis, now I'm going to find out the error. So how I'm going to find out this cost function j of theta 1? I'm having this formula with me, right? J of theta 1 equal to 1 divided by 2m summation over I equal to 1 to m theta 1 xi minus yi square. So for all three samples, m equal to 3 here. So for all three samples, if I substitute the values, then what I'll be getting is the value of my cost function is 0. Right? So theta 1 is 1, and for first sample x1 is 1 minus y1 is also 1 plus 1 into x2 is 2 minus y2 computed value, actual value is also 2 plus 1 into what is x value, x3 is 3 and the actual yi is also 3. So after substituting these values, what I get is 0. Right? So my cost function j of theta 1 is evaluated as 0. So my j of 1 is equal to 0. J of 1 is my theta 1 value. So j of 1 is evaluated as 0. Now, what I'm going to do next is, for different values of theta 1, I'm going to compute the values for my cost function j. Right? I'll repeat. For different values of theta 1, I'll be computing my cost function j. And I'll be plotting that cost function against the value of theta 1. That is my parameter, only parameter that I'm having. So if I try to plot my cost function j of theta 1, right, which is a function of parameter theta 1, what I'll be having? On the x-axis, I'll be having theta 1. On the x-axis, I'll be having theta 1. And on the y-axis, I'll be having j of theta 1. So I'm plotting now theta 1 against my cost function j of theta 1. Okay? And now the selected value right now for theta 1 is 1. So this is my theta 1. And what I have computed as j of theta 1, it is 0. So if I try to plot j of theta 1 against theta 1, then for value of theta 1 equal to 1, I come up with this point, j of theta 1. Are you getting me? Yes? Are you getting me?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? So what simply we have done? We have selected some value of theta 1 and we have computed j of theta 1 for the given data set. right? And next we have plotted the cost function against the selected value of the parameter theta 1. So this is theta 1 against j of theta 1. Values of theta 1, and with respect to these different values of theta 1, we are going to plot this cost function against various values of theta 1. Okay, and we are going to come up with a plot of the cost function, and based on that plot of cost function j of theta 1, we are going to come up with some concept, right? So we are going to continue our discussion in the next session related to this intuition behind the cost function, right? So I hope you must have understood the concepts those we have discussed so far. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Any doubt? Yes? Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Fine. So let's conclude today's session, and we are going to continue the discussion related to cost function and optimization of the cost function in the next session. Right? So let's conclude today. Thank you.